Hi everybody, and welcome to the first month of Join the Dots. Now this is my paste I'm doing for the channel challenge. I had originally videotaped it from the beginning, but as usual I'm a real novice at these things and it didn't turn out, so I'm just going to quickly go through the steps where I'm up to at this point in time. So step one was to use a piece of card from some recycled cards from a box or something like that. So I've used actually an ice cream box, so it wasn't quite as big as this one, but you could use like a Kellogg's cornflakes box or a Ritz box or something like that. Now all I did was I cut all these flaps off it, all these end bits first, and then I cut it in two. That one I've used some more, so don't look at that, but I actually then sliced it up, one of these side pieces here, and I just flipped it inside out so that the brown bit, this bit here, was showing. And I glued the two pieces together just to make a stiffer piece of cardboard. Okay, and so step two was to mix some small beads or gravel, or if you've got some art stones or things like that, something with gesso or paint to make a sort of a textured consistency. Now I posted a little I got a teaser on the website the other day of this, and this is what I used. It's like a little stone. I got it once a while ago in one of those rescue recycle shops. No idea what it is. Also got I think it's like, I think Deborah said, crushed quartz. I've got this one here which is really fine, and then I've got this bit here. I only got a little bit at a time because I had no idea what I was going to use it for. Now I wish I'd got more because I have used it a little bit. So anyway, today I used this particular one here. Okay, and I mixed it with some gesso, and I got a very sort of thick consistency. Don't know if there's any left. There's not much left in this jar, but you can see it's sort of gritty. And I spread that all over the cardboard. Okay. Then the next step was to place some strips of material in any direction on the piece and leave gaps. Now, I'll just bring over where I'm up to so far. So I just ripped up, I ripped up a shirt. It was one of my favourite shirts, and I really loved it, but I went out with it on a couple of weeks ago and realised after I'd gone out that the seam on the sleeve had all split. So instead of fixing it, I just cut the sleeve off and used it. And I liked that because I thought it kind of the sort of material that's what do you call it, frays a bit, so I like the fraying bit. I let mine extend over the card, but you can do what you like. I didn't intend at the time, but it sort of worked out to be a bit of a framework for my next layer, but it doesn't have to be. I sort of squished it into the gesso texture mix. You can see it here, it's really thick, while it was wet. And then I also put a bit of gel medium on top of it just to make sure that it did stick really well. I'm kind of working very limited supplies at the moment because I normally work on my dining room table. As you can see, there are a few bits all over my dining room table at the moment, but not much to clean up. Normally this is full of boxes of stuff, and I had to pack it all up so we could use the dining room table at Christmas time, etc. And I've resolved, and I've actually kind of promised my family I wouldn't unpack anything till after the new year. So it was actually good for this challenge because it made me look around for alternatives, things that I probably wouldn't normally use because you tend to use the same sorts of things all the time. Anyway, so as I said, I ripped up my shirt, but you could use ribbon or one of those fabric tapes that you can buy or something like that. It doesn't really matter what you use, whatever suits your purpose. So that was step 3. Step 4 was to place a smaller piece of distress card on top. leaving room to see the background piece. I used a piece of that box that I showed you before, the Ritz, and again I just used the back, this side of it up, and I put a little bit of gesso on it first, and then I used the leftover texture that I had. So that's basically what it tells you to do. You can either paint it or gesso it or whatever and distress it. So I just rubbed my scissors around it because I don't have any idea where my distress tool is. So I rubbed some scissors around the edge, cut it a bit, rolled it up, bent over corners and things like that, and painted it with gesso, and then, as I said, just added on the whatever, you know, bit of textured paste I had from the beginning. Just makes a nice sort of structured background type paste instead of having to buy paste. But by all means, if you have textured paste, you can use that. It doesn't matter. I was just trying to get you to think outside the box, and for people who don't always have everything, does people starting off don't always have textured paste and things like that. Okay, so step 4, as I said, was to place a piece of card. So I've done that. I just stuck it on and put my stuff on top of it. Step 5 was to using watered down paint, sorry, this is step 6, I beg your pardon. Step 5 was putting texture paint on top. So step 6 was to use watered down paint or sprays in 3 different colours and just spray your piece. So I used, again, as I said, because most of my stuff is packed away, and normally I would probably use what do you call it, Tim Holtz Distress Inks or Delusions. That's the one I usually use. But just before Christmas, I went to a crop at or a craft day at Lynn's, and there I was lucky enough to pick up from Karen some colour bursts, Ken Oliver colour bursts, and I still had those in my pencil case when I come home, which happened to be handy and not packed away. So, and I haven't had much of a chance to use them before, so this was a great opportunity. So I used this turquoise, the orchid, and the chartreuse, and these kind of matched in with the colours in my blouse piece of material that I used this before. So with these, you just, they're powder, so you just sprinkle a little bit of powder on and then just spray your paint and let it drip. And I was really pleased. I've got quite a bit of blue on here, the chartreuse, the fuchsia, and then so I loved the way they actually worked. So at that point I was feeling quite happy with my piece, and these 2 bits of card together are quite thick enough, you know, to be substantial for it all. Okay, so step 6 was to, as I said, run some, or drip some water or some colours of dyes, sprays, whatever you have. Could even use some inks. I've done that before. I've just put some ink pad on the top that's not, what do you call it, you know, not stays on, not permanent ink, and then I've just sprayed and let it run. So again, you know, just use what you've got around the place. Try some coloured food dyes. If you haven't got any ink, you might have some food dyes in your cupboard. Sometimes people do, so use a bit of that. Okay, so step 7, let me just find step 7 because I don't think we've got that far yet, and I'm working these out as we go. So step 7 is to use some masking tape and decorate it in some way to create another layer. Now I'm just holding my tablet here, so I'll have to put it down for a moment just to, oh, maybe not, maybe I can just reach over here. So what I did was, I had some crayons again. They were just in a drawer. They weren't packed away. Some cheap kids' crayons. So I broke them up and I used my garlic kind of file, the long, you know, one of those long files that you have for your garlic, etc., to grate them onto a piece of greaseproof paper. I put my masking tape, sorry, and strips onto the greaseproof paper first, onto baking paper, whatever you call it. And then I grated some of the crayons on top. And I picked out colours that matched the colours already on my page. So I've got like a purpley colour, sort of a greeny yellow colour, and a couple of different shades of blue. And I just placed another piece of baking paper on top of them, and I ironed them with an old iron together. So I'm hoping that these are going to work. And I'm not quite sure yet how I'm going to put them on the page, but I'm going to try. Okay, so I'm just going to pause it for a moment while I rip them off the paper and work out where I'm going to put them.